What's going on, people? Welcome to the United Stand. We're here with another video with more reaction to what's going on in the world of football, which is what has been described just very recently of one of the board members of the top 6 clubs as a nuclear war on football. And that is one of the biggest situations that we face, a nuclear war. I'm here with Owen. Owen, how you doing, bro?
I'm not too bad. Well, I'm saying not too bad. I'm pretty distraught, to be honest, as a Man United fan. You never question your loyalty to the club. At least you hope you didn't. But I mean, now, this is it hurts. It hurts a lot. It hurts a real lot. And I'm still trying to process all of this. If I'm going to be honest with you, Flex, it's sad. It's really, really sad. And as a United fan, I don't know the words, distraught, upset. It's just, we're watching football literally rot in front of us. You know, the vultures are sweeping. They've been sweeping for a while. And I don't know if the pandemic is the backdrop to this. I don't know. I don't know what the backdrop of it is. It just, as time goes on as well, you just think that the outrage and the disgust and all of this would be enough for people to back off a little bit. But it's almost the defiance of it now is even more disgusting. Oh, we knew it was going to be bad. We knew it was going to be bad, but we don't care. That's even more heartbreaking. We don't care what you think, which is why forums like this are so important, because the message needs to get out. The message needs to get out that it's unacceptable. But ultimately, our voices alone aren't going to be enough. It's for FIFA, it's for UEFA, it's going to be government, and fans. Everyone's got to come together. And the most amazing thing is they've made FIFA look like $1 million. Everyone hated FIFA and UEFA. Suddenly, they're knights in shining armor because they've got to fix this. It can't go ahead, and it's just. It's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking.
It is. It's very heartbreaking. I know there's been a lot of reaction to this, and there's news coming in almost by the minute. I know you guys have seen what Marcus had to say this morning, so I'm just going to fill you guys in on a little bit of breaking stuff that's happened sort of within the last 5-10 minutes, even half an hour, etc. Like I said on Sky Sports, you had Kaveh Solikov saying that he was told by one of the board members of a Big Six team that our job is to maximize our revenues. For the wider good of the game is a secondary concern. He also confirms that the clubs do not care about the backlash and the opinions of fans. I want to send a big shout out to the Liverpool fans as well. They've been up there at Anfield putting up banners as well. Shame on you, rest in peace, Liverpool Football Club. Another one says LFC fans against European Super League. And it's just going from bad to worse with this as well. The thing that I'm actually deeping with this as well is that, of course, this is all about money. Yeah. And you know what? As fans, we're being forced to pick the lesser of two evils. And when the two evils is this, UEFA are not squeaky clean, FIFA are not squeaky clean, and the Premier League are not squeaky clean. Like since 1992, since the Premier League has come in, it's been about money, 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 money. At the expense of who? The fans. People trying to put season tickets up. You look at the price of kits that have gone up year on year, not in line with inflation, but it's like 80 quid sometimes for the top jersey if you want to get it. It's like 130 quid. I saw a United travel jacket, the kind of maroon looking one. It's actually quite nice, £260. So these organizations are not scot-free in this, but it's almost like we're being forced as fans to which one do you want to sell your soul to? You got to sell it to either one if you want to support your football club, but you don't want to sell it to as far as what this is. And it feels like that's what it feels like to me. It feels like this is a step up on like the wrongdoings that have been in football, because it's been all about money. All of a sudden, UEFA can ban people out the competitions. Premier League can kick people out. But when it's racism and things like that, or corruption and stuff like that, you saw the things that were going on with Sepp Blatter, all these kind of things. We didn't hear of it, but all of a sudden now their monetary values are coming into attack. It's like they can pull the top ranking things. Now back to which is our position, though. That's a different thing. That's what I've been kind of deep in as this has gone on. But as we look at it now, you look at the principles of our football club, Owen. You look at teams, smaller clubs who have fought for the right to play against the top opposition, to be in this league, to win a Champions League or to be in the Champions League. What does it say about them? What does it say about our team? Like that, there's so many layers to this.
Well, Manchester United. And I'm really trying my best not to be melodramatic and not to be, you know, over the top and all that, because you want to try and be at least a little bit rational. But I think any form of rationality has just gone out the window at this point. This isn't Man United anymore. This isn't Man United. The idea of Man United's going towards becoming a franchise, well, overnight it's become one. I don't know what this club is anymore. I don't know what Man United is anymore. It certainly isn't the Man United that I grew up loving. I mean, we spoke about the other week about the morals and ethics and the history of Manchester United. That's disappeared. That has absolutely disappeared. The most disgusting thing is seeing these reports coming out now saying people like, oh, the Glazers and Ed Woodward and JP Morgan, they're the one driving this. So not only is it disgusting, not only is it disgusting and all that kind of stuff that, this is all happening, but we might be the ones driving it. That's horrifying. That's horrifying for a Manchester United fan. It's disgusting.
That's the biggest, you know what, Owen, yeah, that's the most sickening thing about this, yeah. As more news was coming out about this, you see the JP Morgan, the setup there, how Ed Woodward has big links with them. I think he used to work for them. Then you've got the situation of helping them helping the Glazers purchase Manchester United, which the Premier League did piss all to try and stop. And then we see Joel Glazer, who hasn't said a fucking word in about 16 years. Excuse my French this early in the day, because I'm pissed off.
Carry on.
Who hasn't said a word in 16 years. All of a sudden, he's doing all this bullshit for the good of the game. All of a sudden, he has a voice. Yeah. The Glazers ain't been to a Man United game in 2 years. Like, it's absolute bullshit. And to be involved in this is a sickener as it is. It makes me embarrassed it makes us embarrassed to be Manchester United fans. But to know we're at the top spearheading this, like we are spearheading this thing. We're not just like being bullied into it by some of the clubs bigger than us, or maybe, we can get a bit of money. Like, we're at the top saying, let's drive this forward. That hurts.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It is what it is. And the other quote coming out saying that the American owners, universally for a long period of time, they haven't understood the concept of relegation. Why do clubs get relegated? I mean, where do you even start with that? Where do you even start with that? They don't understand the concept of relegation. That's the competition. That's the drama. You're stealing away the drama. You're stealing away the heart of football. It's even bigger than Man United. You're stealing away all of that. We don't understand relegation. We don't understand. I mean, one of the Glazers, he didn't understand the offside rule the other day. How can they care? And that was the other thing that was frustrating. Is, we're doing this for the benefit of the wider football pyramid. We're doing this for the football pyramid, the wider football pyramid. You don't care about what's going on beneath the wider football pyramid. You don't care about the trickle down effect of all of this. They don't care. That is absolute nonsense. That is absolute nonsense that they care about anything apart from the bank balance, not even of Man United, of themselves, because they're the ones taking dividends out of it. So they're looking at this from a Man United point of view now. They're looking at this not only as, Man United can make more money out of this, but they take the money out of the club so they can make more money out of this. And that's why they're spearheading it. It's not even for the good of Man United. It's not for the good of football. It's not for the good of the football pyramid. It's for the good of themselves. And like you said, for a Man United fan that's grown up and lived all of these amazing moments and believes in the history of the club, whether it's the Busby Babes or it's the triumph, the comeback from the Munich air disaster, or the treble win. And we've been speaking about the treble, haven't we, with Man City? Suddenly Man City don't get the treble. We're celebrating that. Little did we know that football would die like 24 hours later. What a shallow victory.
Irony. Yeah, the irony. And you know what? In 58, the Busby Babes died, yes, in a tragedy, but they also died kind of in the name of competition of what football stands for. Do you see what I mean? Like that the reason why they were on that plane traveling to Munich in the snow was in the name of fair competition. Yeah. Munich had earned the right to be there. They'd earned the right to be there as Manchester United. And the rest is what happened. You know, Liverpool have won 6 European titles in the name of competition. Bill Shankly, these big key figures, Sir Matt Busby, you know, Nottingham Forest won their Champions League, their European Cups in the name of competition. Competition. That's what sport is. There's a winner, there's a loser. That's like saying in the Olympics, you know what? We're only going to let just the fast people in. If somebody gets a fast time, a guy from Malta gets a fast time and runs a personal best, he's not allowed or she's not allowed in the race this time because they're just not big enough. They just don't have as much money. Not on merit, but if Usain Bolt had an off day and pulled his hammy halfway through the race and pulled out the race, but he still get to be in it. He's still be in it because you know what? He brings the most money in. He's got a lot of power in the sport. Where's the integrity of this? You're ruining the integrity. So where I see people saying, and there are two sides to this, there is. But for me, I'm only seeing right and wrong to a certain degree because, like I said at the top of the show, we're being forced as fans. It's horrible as fans because we're being forced now as fans to pick between two evils. Which one do you want to sell your soul to? Yeah. And I'm sorry, the one that we were selling our soul to already was kind of at the limit of saying, you know what, it's not great. There's corruption all over football. It's all about money. You know, you look at Sky and BT and all the broadcasters are probably saying, you know, what's going to happen to our money? It's all about money. Of course it is. But the integrity of the game was still kept there in terms of you earn the right to be there. You look at a success story of Leicester. You look at West Ham this season. You look at teams trying to break that top six. Leicester, you're shitting on Leicester.
Exactly. You're telling me it doesn't matter anymore. Competition is dead. Put it in the bin.
Competition is dead. You're shitting on the likes of Norwich who have just got promoted. You're shitting on the likes of Watford who have just gone straight back down and trying to come back up. For what? Let Watford fans lose every week. They won't mind me saying this. They get spanked every time they play Manchester City. But guess what? It's their right to be there to have a go. Yeah. You're just going to take that away from them. Like it's just... I can't believe it, but at the same time, the thing that pisses me off the most is that I can believe it. I can believe it. And
that's the thing. It's the brazen nature of it. We don't, and that's the scary thing for me is we know the backlash is bad. Oh, we expected the backlash to be bad, but we don't care. We don't care. So the idea of the fans, you know, and this is the scary point is that the fans can have this uproar and the fans can have this opinion of this isn't right, and UEFA can come out and say this isn't right. FIFA's coming out saying it's not right. The government are saying that it's not right, and still they're just steadfast of we don't care. We don't care. It's all about money. It's all about money. And again, to use the pandemic as this sort of shadow backdrop, we're doing this for the right reasons. The pandemic has proven that this needs to be done. No, it doesn't. The pandemic has proven that, if anything, the integrity of football needs to stay pure. It's not anything about the pandemic. We're trying to help everyone out. No, they're not. They're not. As I said, they're trying to help out themselves. That's the only thing about it. And again, it's just. If put it this way, when it comes to the Super League, right? If they just said we're going to do a European Super League, we're going to start our own clubs and do that, and we're going to do that, you're going to go, okay, fine, do what you want, right? It's when you bring in clubs with the history of Manchester United, the integrity of Manchester United, you're ripping that away. You're ripping away the history, and you know there are clubs now. I think was it Carve Solikor on Sky was saying that there are clubs in the Premier League that are saying to kick them out or to at least to suspensions. I mean, we said it. You know, it's not civil war; it's nuclear war. And you can, and me as a Man United fan, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And like you said, it's which evil do you pick? Because I'm a Man United fan, but if they get punished, I think that's justified. That's absolutely 100%. Justified.
I'm all here for it.
And again, I don't. You know, we've been talking about this for years at this point, and as you get older, you feel like you're becoming your dad or your granddad when you say that. Oh, back in my day, I don't recognize this football, and all that kind of stuff. I don't recognize football and all this kind of stuff. But now, I don't recognize this football. I don't recognize this football.
Yeah, we got a quote coming in from FIFA Pro saying the worldwide representative organization for 65,000 professional footballers has released a statement saying it will vigorously oppose any attempts to block players from representing their national team. So now, you see what I'm saying? This is what I mean about this. All of this, is poker faces. All these organizations got poker faces because now what you've got FIFA Pro basically saying is that if UEFA tried to stop Paul Pogba playing for France in the Euros, we got something to say about that. Yeah. If FIFA try and stop, I don't know, Marcus Rashford playing in the World Cup, we got something to say about that. And it's a battle of poker faces because you've got the Premier League saying, we're going to kick you out if you do this, and you're going to be effed. And then it's them saying, you're not going to kick us out. What's the Premier League without us in it?
They bet on this. These big, you know, Perez, the Glazers, whoever, they gambled on this. They said, you know what, they can try and block us, but they won't do it, or they can't do it. They like I said, it's a game of poker. It's a game of poker, and it's the same. We expected the backlash from the fans. We expected the backlash from UEFA. We expected the backlash from FIFA. We knew that these threats were coming, and we don't care. And again, it's the brazen nature of that. We just have to watch. It's like, you know, it's like going past a car crash. You just have to watch and look on in horror. And that's basically what it is at this point. Because if they do manage to be able to, and again, I don't know the legality of if you can stop a player playing for his country or not. I don't know how that works. Does it count if it's a FIFA tournament or a UEFA tournament? Is it within their rights? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But again, when it comes to the Super League, in terms of a player, if you're this 20, 21-year-old wonder kid, best player in the world, why would you go to Man United if you can't play for your country? It's career suicide. It's over. And again, and then what happens with the Super League if it doesn't work, and then Man United just go, actually, this was rubbish, it's terrible, no fans are showing up, no one cares, we've got to come back with the tails between our legs. Are the Premier League going to let us back? There are so many questions, and it's just, and no one wants it apart from the people that can get rich off it. That's the only people that want it. Nobody wants it. Oh, the global audience. The global audience doesn't want that.
100%. There is so much
competition to die.
Of course not. There is so much collateral damage in this, and I don't think, you know, I want to talk a little bit about players and managers and, you know, people who are under the ownership of these football clubs, who are employees of these football clubs. Ander Herrera is the first player I've seen to come out and say something. And here's a quote from Ander Herrera of what he said. Here's what he put on his Twitter account. I fell in love with popular football, with the football of the fans, with the dream of seeing the team of my heart compete against the greatest. If this European Super League advances, those dreams are over. The illusions of the fans, of the teams that are not giants, of being able to win on field in field and competing in the best competitions will end. I love football and I cannot remain silent about this. I believe in an improved Champions League, but not in the rich stealing what the people created, which is nothing other than the most beautiful sport on the planet. First of all, big up to Ander Herrera.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We're clearly seeing. I know we don't. There's a lot that we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But what I do know is we're clearly seeing that the players at these clubs have been told, by no means, you don't put anything on social media. Nobody says a damn thing. Yeah. So that there is a blanket response. Also, the calculation. You talk about like conspiracy to commit a crime. You know, when people all get together and conspire and make it happen. This is what this is. This is like, I've been watching Line of Duty. This is an OCG, bro. This is an OCG. Get AC12 in here, because you know what it is? They've sat there and gone, you know what? Right, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go forward with this plan. Everyone get the statements prepared. Everyone press send at the right time. Then, right, the shit's going to hit the fan. They're going to come for us. Then we press the button on how to defend ourselves against being prosecuted. Because I read that basically this consortium have now instructed their lawyers to go about their business of how they can't get sued. So that's number two. Number three, they're all dropping out of their roles at UEFA. They're basically all segregating away. Juventus left, Inter Milan left, Ed Woodward left, Man United left. They're all leaving UEFA and coming across. It's so calculated. Like someone said there, this is the collusion of the highest order. 100%. Another quote here just before you come in again, Owen, is from Boris Johnson. Again, this is what I mean. Boris Johnson, I'm not going to get into politics right here, right now. But in order to save this, we need higher powers to come in. Boris Johnson says there are also clubs that have originated historically from their towns, from their cities, from their local communities. They should have a link with those fans and with the fan base in their community. So yeah, what do you say to that kind of stuff?
Well, to be honest, and when we're talking about quotes, obviously Sir Alex, he released a quote, didn't he, last night? And honestly, you talk about having, a broken heart by all of this. That was the one that really, really broke my heart. I mean, he didn't fully go in on Man United, but it was as a veiled kind of criticism as you're probably going to get from him. But it broke my heart to what it absolutely broke my heart of him talking about Aberdeen and coming up the ranks and playing in Champions League finals. And at the end, basically distancing himself, our greatest ever manager, essentially distanced himself by saying, well, look, I'm not involved in the decision-making process, so I don't know. And you can tell that he's disappointed. You can tell that he's upset. He's like everyone else. And when it comes to what Boris Johnson has said, like you said, I don't want to touch on politics too much. I mean, this is divisive as it is anyway. But when it comes to what he's saying, this has to be some form of, okay, this is unacceptable. We need some form of reform. We need some form of change of how some legislation put in place of how football clubs are owned or run in this country. People talking about the German model of having, the 51% fan interest, going back to that, because you notice the clubs in Germany, you notice Bayern Munich and Dortmund, they've gone, no, we're not going to be part of that. And you could probably say that's likely because of they're saying that they're backed by the fans, and they said, we don't want to be a part of that. We're not going to be a part of that. So, I mean, credit to them when it comes to Munich and Dortmund.
Brilliant example.
My only concern would be, and I think again, when it comes back to all of these big cheese owners, is they're thinking, well, they'll come round eventually when the money talks and stuff starts to dry up. And again, it's that kind of just pure
money talks,
evil of just of they'll come around eventually because we'll have all the money, and it's disgusting.
There's a few super chats here. Just want to get through these. Glad says ban ESL matches and broadcasting in the UK. And the real Giannis says, how does this season even matter anymore? Does our historic achievements mean anything anymore? Exactly. They're literally ripping out the fabric and the DNA that made us. It's like someone saying to you, I'm going to rip out the very thing that made you what you are, right out your soul, underneath your eyes right now. Right. Ryan N says, I'm not surprised Ander Herrera is one of the only players speaking out, a legend. Effing bottlers, the lot of them, they should be ashamed sitting in silence. Gustav says, I think it's obvious now why Nicky Butt didn't want to have a part in the leadership of our club going forward. If only we knew, potentially, who knows? Mike says the EPL is broken away. A select few mega rich clubs dominate year in, year out. The rest make up the numbers and have zero chance of success unless a billionaire owner takes them over. 100%. And there's another quote here from Carve over at Sky Sports. He says, there's going to be a few popping up on the screen. I'll get through this first one. It says, there are several board members at these 6 clubs who are opposed to joining the Super League, but they feel they do not have power to stop it. Basically saying, the people who have the big money, they're the people who make the decisions. But back to what someone was saying about, smaller clubs and stuff. 100% right. Without financial backing and a billionaire owner coming in, they've got no chance. Another quote here says, the owners were fully expecting a backlash. They knew their plans were going to be opposed vociferously. I've done well there. But they are not. I saw it and thought, but they are not that worried about bad PR right now. Again, we're talking about the OCG. We're talking about them sitting down, colluding and saying, we know what's going to happen. These are the stages at each point. Almost like, have you seen Money Heist? You seen Money Heist?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. Well, anyone who has seen Money Heist, anyone who has seen Money Heist, it's like when one trigger happens, which they plan for, they invoke the next phase. They say, right, okay, we're going to plan to rob this bank, and what's going to happen is the police are going to come with this. Then we do that. Then once that happens, we do this. It's sorting it all out, pre-done conspiracy. And the next one. There's a new quote there as well. Says there's from the Telegraph says a massive risk that the new European Super League could be blocked under European Union sports laws, with one leading sports lawyer only rating the chances of it being allowed as 50-50. So there's the next few months are going to be crazy. There's even talks, Owen, of that. We just got into a Europa League semi-final, which look, we don't need to talk about football and stuff in terms of whether that's good or bad to be in it, but we were getting excited. The Champions League is about to come to a conclusion, and let's talk about us getting kicked out.
Everything's just suddenly overnight feels like it's just become redundant. And we talk about competition and all that. If this goes ahead, but if you were allowed to stay in the Premier League, who knows about that? Again, if you're not going to win the league, where is the competition there? There isn't any. There's no fight for top 4. The only thing that Man United wouldn't care is that they don't get relegated. It doesn't matter where we finish. All of our main revenues from the Super League. It just said competition just gets stripped away. Competition just dies. And when the EU that sports law is saying that it's 50-50, again, like you were saying about these premeditated steps, there is no doubt that all of these big owners have come together and they thought that they've consulted. There's no way they haven't consulted with all of their lawyers. They haven't consulted with all of their PR firms and all that kind of stuff. It is so I said it's so premeditated, and it's so and it's so cold and so calculated. And as I mentioned, just the way they dress it up, we dress it up. It's for the benefit of the fans. That was the initial quote by Florentino Perez last night, wasn't it? When he was saying about we want to have football as its rightful place on the global stage. Who was saying that football was undervalued or anything like that? The money in football is out of control. And not just that, football's exactly where it should be on the global stage. The World Cup is the most viewed sporting event in the world. Oh, we need more. We need bigger. That's what it is. We need more. It's disgusting. It's disgusting is what it is. And the issue is when it comes to this and the owners and Americanization of the game. And again, I don't have a problem with American sport. I like watching the NFL. But football's different. Football is different, you know, and you can't just, after hundreds of years of history, you can't just come and go, we're changing it. We don't like that.
Imagine us going over there and doing that. Imagine we had loads of billionaire owners here in England or Europe, let's say, with the football pyramid, which we do. But imagine they managed to be more powerful than the ones in America, more wealthy than the ones in America, and bought out LA Lakers and then went to the NBA commissioner and said, right, there's relegations. There's no trades. There's transfer budgets. You know what I mean? There's all these different competitions. Imagine we tried to change their thing. Jake, there's a lot of super chats here. Jacob says, I'd rather have United get relegated to the Vanarama National League and have to battle in the lower league for 15 years rather than have this happen. This isn't real football anymore. Meb3 says, the opinions of the fans who think the Premier League is called the EPL is invalid, which that's just being silly. Jay Caliber says, I can't believe after everything our club's been through, these leeches are going to destroy everything. Also applied to be part of the team. Wish me luck. Jen says, what about the countries that are not in the top 5 leagues? 100%. What about them? Yeah. And exactly. Vishal says, look at what Ajax have done in club football, you know? Yeah. Vishal says, I am through and through United, not going to watch a single ESL match. We have to stop this. And Jacob, we've read that one already. And then the last one here is from White Boy. And White Boy says, the only pyramid these clubs care about is the pyramid scheme they've just created. Football isn't a competition anymore. It's a business venture. Samir Ha says, could this be a show of power from the Big Six teams to get UEFA to listen to their demands and give them what they want? Hold that thought there, Samir, because that is going to be another talking point. I do believe there is something in that for sure. And Akash says, clubs are colluding and gaming the market. Football, the only business where this is allowed and where the decisions made are made without consulting the consumers. This is from Carve as well at Sky. Our primary job is to maximize revenues. The wider good of the game is a secondary concern, which we touched on in a quote earlier on as well. There's one here, Owen. Samir says, could this be a show of power from the Big Six teams to get UEFA to listen to their demands and give them what they want? I think there's a lot in this because, like I said, it's them saying, guys, let's all get together because without us, they're fucked.
Yeah, but I just don't know if I see them, you know, we're talking about being calculated. I don't even know if they care. Like, this has been, how many years have we heard this Super League concept? This isn't new. No one thought they'd have the balls to do it. Realistically, no one thought, well, they'd never come to it. They're two big egos that come together. The idea of them going to, you know, UEFA and them saying, we want, what would they want? More money from UEFA? More money from the Champions League?
They want, yeah, that's exactly what it is, because you look at the Champions League, and this is where I mean that UEFA are nowhere near innocent. They got blood on their hands.
No, absolutely not.
The Premier League, the same as FIFA. They're in the process of widening the Champions League as it is with a new proposed thing, and in that they were going to renegotiate the money with the big clubs around the world anyway. So with that was going to come more money. But you look at the sums of money that's been
branded. This is astronomical now we're talking.
Astronomical. Like Carvey was saying, 50, 60, 70, maybe 80 million pounds if you win the thing, versus, you know, payments of just signing on the dotted line, payments of like hundreds of millions of pounds, over 3.5 billion pounds given to these clubs. And it's like they're saying, and we got a God-given right to be in it every year, you know. So what? Exactly. If Arsenal become the whipping boys of this thing, exactly. But also our own club. I'm not scared to look at our own club and criticize. We're not super anymore. When last we won the Champions League, 2008. We're not super. We're not even in it. You know, when last we won the Premier League, 2013. Arsenal, shocking. Tottenham, don't even get me started. Who are you to you know, Leicester have won the league more recent than us.
Yeah.
Leicester are a better run club than all of us. Borussia Dortmund are a better run club than all of us. They've reached a Champions League final closer than we have. Like, what? Who are we to come here and say that? But then this is what it is, and this is what sickens me. Money.
It's
Money.
disgusting. Like you said, like you say, who are we? Who are we to say that? We're happy, right? Our manager is going to get a new contract because he's got in the top 4 2 years in a row. That's a massive success to us, and yet we're driving home. We're spearheading that. Well, we need to go in a different league. It needs to be even more competitive. There needs to be more money. We struggle with the competiveness as it is right now.
Exactly.
Where is?
But you know what, Owen? Do you know what? So just quickly, that's why they're doing this, Owen. Do you get that?
Yeah,
because you're looking at the competitiveness of what's going on, and they're struggling to be in. They're saying, do you know what? Sod that. That's a bit too difficult to keep making sure we get in the top 4. It's like Arsenal saying we got no chance of keep getting in the top 4 like we used to. Let's just make a thing that makes us in this whole thing that all the time. Can't stop it.
Yeah. Well, and then, like I said, and then where is the drama? Then where is the drama for that? Where's the fight of, oh, we've got to make sure we get top 4, or we've got to make sure we win Europa League, or we've got to win the Champions League to make sure we're in the next year? All of that's gone. The drama is gone and replaced by, you know, glorified exhibition games every Wednesday night. And also as well, if we're allowed to stay in the Premier League, if they allow us the right to stay in the Premier League, also suddenly the Wednesday nights take priority. Oh, we've got West Brom at the weekend. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because we've got Real Madrid on Wednesday, and that's where the money's at. That's where the money's at. And again, it's just, and I know people can argue that, oh, well, you kind of do that with the Champions League anyway. If you've got a big Champions League game in the week, you might take it a bit easier at the weekend. But it's just that there is still some form of purity about the Premier League, or just the top flight of domestic football, and that gets ripped out. And again, we don't know the future about all of that. It's just, and if that, you know, if people in the Premier League are saying, "Oh, kick Man United, kick Tottenham, kick City, and all of these teams out," does that happen with every single other major league, or they're coming in? Because then that's the end of a load of top flight leagues in European football. That's the end of, you know, the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A. I mean, all of these leagues just vanish. Everyone's like Thanos snapped his finger, and half of everyone's just disappearing. It's just, it's disgusting.
Haydar, this is an interesting super chat, and we have to talk about this as well, because this is actually what's going on here as well, and it makes a good point. Haydar Hammond says, "Please don't misunderstand me. I'm totally against it, but I think this will affect English people. For people like myself in Australia, I wouldn't mind being able to constantly watch the best players week in, week out. Other than that, there are no positives." Now, before everyone kind of, you know, tries to get on Haydar and says, "Oh, this is the problem. You don't live in Manchester, or you're not from here, so you don't understand what it's like." You have to respect people's viewing experience and ties to the club. People love the club for different reasons. So I'm not trying to dig people out on a personal level, but this is what it's down to, demographic. Because what we're seeing here is these clubs have said, okay, what is there? Let's just take England, for example, or the UK, for example. What is there? 60 odd million people in the UK. Not all of them obviously are going to be Man United fans, not even half. So let's say, I don't know, let's say United has a fan base of 15 million, 10 million. I don't know. A very small percentage of the 60 million, but a lot, yeah. That's Man United saying, we can afford to lose our English fan base because, like what Haydar says, in Australia, in China, in Africa, in America, we can, in New Zealand, in wherever, we can recoup that. Like we can live without cutting out that small portion of fan bases. And then they're going to be forced, again, this is where it comes back to being harsh on fans. They are then forced to make a real big decision. Are you going to abandon your club and what it stands for? Well, it doesn't stand for what we think it stands for anymore, or what it should do. But are you going to do that? Or are you going to have to start following suit? They're putting you in a position where you have to choose between two of the evils. And that is a massive thing. The fans around the world, they're going to start moving games as well. You know, when you do that midweek thing, don't think it's all going to be at Old Trafford all the time. Man United versus Barcelona is going to be in flipping Abu Dhabi.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like it's the NFL situation, isn't it? Where they have the thing,
100%.
they have 2 games over here in the UK. Tottenham signed up to that deal, so they could have some NFL games there. It's going to be where are even the home fans? It's not even a case of home and away anymore. They'll all be at neutral venues. Again, it becomes you know, it's the Harlem Globetrotters. It's just a tour, the football tour that goes around the world. It's like F1. You've got your different location every week where you can have all your different games. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against like the globalization of the Premier League or anything like that. We have the 12:30 kickoff because of the Asian market, because it's lucrative. I don't have a problem with that. You know, the problem is like you said, when you take, you know, fundamental history away from the clubs, and that's what we're talking about here. Like we spoke about earlier, we're talking about moments that you celebrated because you achieved something, because you won something. And in 10, 15 years time, if this goes ahead, when you're talking to people going, oh, when we won the treble 99 Champions League, people go, what's that? What are you on about, Champions League? You know, and it goes away from supporting your team. It's about supporting players. I just want to see the best players. I want to see the best players play the best players. We have that right now. And when you have a big player come into your league, it's great. And if they're in another league, you can just hope that maybe you play them in the European Cup or something like that. And it's greed. We've got to have it all. We've got to have money. We've got to have players. And like you said, it doesn't matter. We'll force them. We'll force them to choose what they want, because at the end of the day, the money will talk and they'll come towards us. Even if they don't like it at the start, they'll come towards us in a couple of years' time. You know, it's just, it's horrible. It's sickening.
Our badge doesn't even say Manchester United Football Club on it anymore.
No, they took it away, didn't they?
Like, and you know what? Yeah. Do you know the people who I kind of think about most in this is actually fans of the smaller fans of the smaller clubs, because they will be looking at this, yeah, and they will be saying, we told you this all along. Like where you guys used to think it's the small clubs just moaning about stuff. We never understood what it was like to be competing against money. No. Until now, where money is literally going to destroy our foundations and DNA of our club. At least the fans of the smaller clubs, they still got their morals and principles, bro. Like, yeah, they still got the foundations of what their thing's built of from day dot right up to now. They didn't get rich and switch like we did,
and yet they're suffering.
And you know what? That sickens me. There's a big quote here. Sorry about the little thing at the top of the screen there. This is from the Financial Times. It says the 12 founding clubs that have signed a binding agreement to form the Super League have been guaranteed a welcome bonus worth 200 to 300 million euros each. Not surprised. Right. Before I come back to you, I'm just going to read. Excuse me. Read out these super chats. Scott Salmon says, I'm Australian. My folks are from Salford. I love this club. We should be united and send our strips back to the club on a set date. Furious. Steve Locke says, why not just make the Champions League and Europa League more global instead of this Super League rubbish? Stray79 says, citizens in Canada can't afford to go on local NHL games because the ticket prices are made for tourists. Didn't know that, but there you go. It's same sort of situations. Sam Wells says, I feel cheated. I won't be able to experience anything like the legacy fans, footballers defeated. Yeah, the legacy fans. I know it's that's what we've been branded as. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Chucky D says, it really is. You know what? We just don't exist. We just don't exist anymore. Like, what are you on about? Chucky D says, if this goes through and the players are banned from international games, etc., do you think there will be a mass exit of players from these clubs? That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Owen, what's your thoughts on all that?
Well, again, when it comes to the exit of players and exit of, you know, people talking about managers walk. I mean, the thing is, at the moment, with so much news breaking every second, there are like a million different rumors, aren't there, that are breaking of, you know, so and so will walk, they'll leave. It depends on the sanctions ultimately. I mean, I would like to think there would be players at our club and just throughout any of these teams that if they're told they can't play for their international, if they can't play for their countries in major events, they would seriously reconsider. And you're talking about, I mean, you talk about Klopp, wasn't it? Klopp was asked about it with 2019 when he said, who wants to see Liverpool play Real Madrid, you know, every week or whatever. It's ludicrous, but it's a reality, or at least in proposal, it's a reality now. And again, it depends on the sanctions. Not wanting to sit on the fence, but it does depend on the sanctions. But you would hope that at least it can't just be, again, like I said at the start of the stream, it can't just be us as fans that are outraged. It's got to be the players. It's got to be Obviously, we know FIFA and UEFA stance on it, but it's got to be, everyone's got to come together, you know, and without wanting to sound melodramatic, everyone's got to come together to save this. Otherwise, if we allow them to stick to their plan, because what we said, there's steps to this. If we allow them to stick to their plan, which was it will die down, because at least now, I don't know if you've seen this, Flex, but I mean, there was an outrage 24 hours ago. There's still outrage now, but there is a tiny pocket now of people going, well, I'm interested to see what it's like.
Yeah, 100. You know? Good point, Owen. Good point. Good point. Because what happens when anything changes, you get the shock factor.
Yeah.
You get what's going on now. You get outrage. You get uproar. Then comes I don't know, like a discussion phase, like a face-off. Like I said, the poker faces will sit down. There might be some lawsuits. There might be some court battles going on. Then you get the aftermath of the new thing happening. And then you get people boycotting or saying, I'm not doing this, something. And then you might get a stage after where it's like, well, am I going to walk away from my club?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck are we supposed to do?
Because I was thinking that last night. When I'm seeing all this stuff come through, I'm going, I don't, you know, I mean, I'm even a Man United fan now. Well, what happened? You question it yourself, and even that feels like it feels like a massive thing to say. That it feels dramatic, and then you go, well, of course I'm a Man United fan, but I mean, is this even Man United anymore? You know, it's just. And it's just confusing for a fan, and maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to tie us up in the confusion of it all, and as time goes along, people soften their stance.
Another quote here from Financial Times says the Super League have held early discussions with a number of broadcasters seeking to secure deals with the likes of Amazon, Facebook, Disney, and Sky that would see annual revenues of up to €4 billion annually, almost double the amount the Champions League earns. And look, This is what this is about. Purely money.
Yeah.
And if they get what they want, they will be in a better financial position for many years to come, and they all get what they want out of it. They don't give a shit about the fact. And you know what? We shouldn't even be surprised by this. And that's what I mean about the different reactions we're going to get as it keeps going and going and going. We're the initial angry phase. But when I look at it, though, UEFA didn't give a shit when they were doing their corruption. FIFA didn't give a shit before, and now it's gonna affect them. Now they want to use the most stringent things possible to stop it. Although I want it to happen because I don't want this to happen. But all of a sudden now they have the powers to kick people out of competitions, and because it affects their pocket.
And also when it comes to 4 billion, when you're talking that kind of numbers, and we're talking double of what the Champions League earns, you talk about, we spoke about earlier, are fans going to be able to go if they're having it in neutral grounds? When you're talking that amount of money, they don't even care. It doesn't matter. You'll have half empty stadiums. They'll just shrug at that. 4 billion. It's more than we were in the Champions League, and it's guaranteed. It's not even the worry. We speak about that before, don't we? The Adidas deal of if you don't get the Champions League, your sponsorship deal is going to dip. That doesn't matter now. We're already in it. It's guaranteed income. And maybe that's what they're looking at when they say about the pandemic and all the financial uncertainty of the pandemic. That's what they really mean, is because they assume no one saw the pandemic coming, obviously. And what they really mean is we didn't expect to have empty stadiums for 18 months, 2 years. We didn't expect that to happen. We've been hurt. So now we need something that's guaranteed. Irrespective of anything that happens, we have the money in our pocket. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if fans show up. It doesn't matter if fans buy merchandise or they don't buy merchandise. We've got 4 billion or a share of 4 billion in our banks guaranteed, because we're not going to get relegated, because it doesn't work like that, because we were the first people to drive it home. And that's what it comes down to. It's greed. And I think that's the disappointing. Well, it's not disappointing. It's just, when something's happening all the time, but you turn a blind eye to it, or you just hope that's not the case. We talk about the Glazers, and we talk about them taking money out of the club and all that kind of stuff. And the evidence is there, but they've never been so forthright and outwardly saying it's about the money. And you kind of just sort of go, well, somewhere deep inside Man United, you've got Sir Alex, and you've got Bobby Charlton, you've got some people on the board that really have the ethics and the morals of Man United there. We hope, we cling on to that as a fan of, well, at least I hope at the boardroom level they're saying something that us fans can relate to. But now we know that they're just slapping us in the face with it. It's about the money. It's all about the money. And we don't care about ethics. We don't care about morals. We care about the badge in the terms of that is a brand, and that has a lot of, you know, equity in that. You know, we're talking financial terms. That's what they really care about.
It's literally all it's about.
That's
literally
all it's about. Because if it didn't have that
go on, finish off.
Sorry, if it didn't have that in the equity in the brand and on the stock exchange, they wouldn't care. You know, they would just start their own team. But it's about bringing Man United, the brand, to that league. It's horrible.
Pratsaurus Rex says, can the new media come together in their opposition against this? United Stand, AFTV, True Geordie, Expressions, Red Men, etc. Together have 4.5 stars. Like Mark put out a tweet. He said, you know, here at the United Stand, we're willing to work with, you know, a lot of fan groups or anything like that to work together to try and fight this the best we can. Essentially though, and I'm not trying to be on here sounding like a defeatist. We have no say. We've been having no say. And that is the thing that hurts. I applaud the Liverpool fans going straight up there to Anfield to put banners up and saying they're against it. We do need to make our feelings hurt. Yes, the say we can have is to not go to the games when this happens and stuff like that. But like we've just spoken about, they're going to take these games. They're going to go and play them somewhere else. And like one of the Australian viewers just kind of alluded us to, that, you know, some fans are going to quite like this. Some fans are going to be, them stadiums are going to be full. Mialo says, even if all the fans in Britain abstain from watching any Super League games, it will be a waste of time. The overseas market alone will bring them billions. And that's basically what we're just talking about there. Ronald said, if someone can make the difference, it's JP Morgan. We need to make sure they hear our voices too, as they are the funding powers behind the league. Yeah, but the problem with that, Ronald, is they're the funding powers behind the league for a reason, and they've put the green light on this for a reason, because they don't give a shit about fans. They're not going to all of a sudden think, oh, bloody hell, this is a bit worse than we thought. Nobody in England wants this. Let's not do it. Because like the person before said, the global fan base and global consumer, even if, you know what, you're going to get different types of people watching football who didn't even give a shit about football before, because you're giving them the glitz and glamour. You're giving them the big teams against the big teams. So someone who probably used to watch cricket or bowls or skiing is going to be like, oh, this thing's all right. It's in the glamorous stadiums, different things all around the world. I get a nice holiday out of it. If I do the ESL tour and follow all the different games, I get to go to Abu Dhabi, then I get to go to Australia, then I get to go to Singapore. 100%. This is a great new way of life. You're going to get new types of football fans in a whole different way that is not attached to football as we know it. Nick P says, I'm really torn with this because I am so pro evolution in life, 100%, from technology, sport to finance. But this is a violation of my philosophy based on greed. 100%, Nick P. I want things to move on, but for the good. 100%. Darshan says the game's integrity died when Sky monopolized and reformed it as the Premier League in 1992. That was the beginning. And again, it was something that we got used to, that even like Owen said there, moving kickoff times, 5:30, 12:30, 4 o'clock, 8 p.m. We've seen it. We've seen it happen loads. Moving things, like I said, the Europa League coming into play. You can drop into the Europa League out of the Champions League. If we come third in our Champions League group, why should we be in the Europa League? We've had our chance. We've had our chance. Why? Money. So I agree with Darshan there. McGavin says, what will happen to youth teams and the young players like Ghana, Hannibal and Elangia? 100%. What's it going to look like for the academies now? Rodney Getterich says, so from an American point of view, the owners and UEFA are both greedy. 100%, I agree. The owners just checkmated UEFA, so UEFA realized they have no power to stop. They called for help from domestic leagues. LOL. Rodney. That's exactly what it is. UEFA, like I said at the top of the show, these guys, these people have blood on their hands. Premier League, UEFA, FIFA. What they've been doing over the last times, because it suited them, is all good. But because a bigger force, because a bigger bully has come to the playground and put them on their asses, now they're shook. That's really what they are. Now they're not the big fish. SK says, guys, the only clubs, the only way, guys, that own the clubs, I think there's a bit of a typo there. The only way I can see this sorted out is in government. We have a stake in these clubs. 51% is a must. Yeah, well, you look at Germany, that's why they're not doing it. And Joe Watt says, do you think some of the 12 teams might have been peer pressured into signing, as in if they don't sign, it goes ahead, they wouldn't be one of these so-called founders and get screwed by being behind. I don't think that. I think it's incentive based. Like, I don't think they've been bullied into it. They've just been told, mate, we can pay all your debts.
I think there was because wasn't there saying that Chelsea and Man City had reservations about doing it, and ultimately, like you said, but then it comes down to money. They see the money, and so they just go, "Oh, we've got to, we've got to." It's kind of like it's like, well, we're not sure about that, and then next thing you know, they just put another stack of money in their hand and go, "Well, maybe one more would convince me," and then they just do another one. That's what it is. That's what it is.
UEFA, another official comment coming in from UEFA, which is massive. UEFA president Alexander Seferin, I'm going to go with, says players taking part in the Super League will be banned from the FIFA World Cup and UEFA European Football Championship, so the Euros as well. That's what we've got to. That's the issue of what we've got to look at there. Exactly, 100%.
That's what you've got to do, because if you're a player, like you said, it's a strange form of ultimatum, but you kind of have to choose. What kind of career do I want to have? What kind of career? Because also you're talking about as well, not just World Cup and UEFA European Football Championships. You're talking about individual accolades as well. Let's not pretend that some of these footballers aren't necessarily selfish. You want to win the Ballon d'Or, you want to win, the Golden Boot or whatever. And if you're in the Super League, then that's not going to count, I guess, because that's their FIFA and UEFA awards. You have to decide as a player, what kind of career do I want? Do I want to go the side of I'm playing in the Super League and representing these franchises, because that's what they are, and having this great amount of money, or do I want to leave a lasting legacy? Do I want to represent my country at the World Cup? Do I want to represent my country at a European Championship? Do I want to win the Ballon d'Or? Do I want to win my domestic league? All that kind of stuff. They're being forced to choose. And, I don't know what they think. And I know that money does talk. This whole thing is evidence that money does talk. But if I'm a player, you've got to have some integrity, right? There's got to be something in you that wants to say that I want to win a World Cup. I want to play for.
Well, what do you think Marcus Rashford thinks of this?
Well, exactly. He's just spent the last 12 months feeding children, and now he's aligned with corporate greed. That's completely, it's completely polar opposites.
It's sad because he's an employee. He's signed his contract. He turns up to work every day, and from that, he's done things even greater than football because he believes in that. And I'm not just trying to put this on to Marcus Rashford to say I haven't heard from you yet, bro. What you say? No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that what must he be thinking in this? And players like that who stand for something, where do they stand in this? Does Marcus Rashford retire from football?
Well, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder how much they had heard about this as well. If this is a situation where they found out at the same time as everyone else, so they find out when those reports go on. They must be shell shocked, like these fans. They must be like, and I'm sure they've got PR people, their own people, not just people in the club, are telling them, look, we need to find out all the facts first. You can't come out and be reactionary to it. And maybe that's, as fans, what we want. We want Marcus Rashford to come out and say, I want you to say this, this, and this, and this. But again, talk about a position to be put in. You have to choose your club, maybe over your country, and your pride, your integrity. It's just such a. I sympathise with the players, to be honest, because talk about an enviable position that they're being put in at this moment. Like you said with Ander Herrera, I do appreciate those players coming out, and I wish more are doing it. But I'm sure we're surely going to hear more over the course of the next at least 24 hours or so from some players. They have to, whether it's the PFA in general, because we had that situation, wasn't it, when it came to the pandemic, of they met together to decide about pay cuts. I don't know if meetings are taking place. I don't know, but you would think at least someone's contacting the PFA going, am I allowed to play for my country anymore? What's going on? Do I have to leave Man United? Like you said, Rashford, is he like, this isn't even worth it. I'll just retire. There's so much uncertainty, and the season isn't even finished. We haven't had a Europa League final. We haven't had a Champions League final. Might get kicked out of it, mate. Exactly.
Might not even finish the Prem.
I know.
I don't think they'll do that, but it is. You just don't. With all the things that are being brandished, UEFA saying that they're going to ban this, that it'll be very interesting to see what happens if they actually try and exercise these things. Likewise, this big consortium that have come out and shocked the football world, because I tell you what, they'll be very stupid too, but they are not going to come out with these statements of intent without proper reinforcements, without a proper plan. Do you know what I mean? They're not just going to go, oh, well, that shocked the world. We was only joking. Or actually, now we've got what we want. We've got a meeting with the Premier League. Now we can discuss a bit more money. This has gone past that already. The fact that they're dropping like flies out of the UEFA, group and stuff like that.
They're pulling
the
European football group. Joking,
exactly. It's these are untenable situations here. You can't just ring up. Ed Woodward can't just ring the UEFA and say, "Oh, I got that wrong. I'm sorry." Like, it doesn't work like that. Man United have fucked off from it. You can't just go back in. So
that was different, Ed. Sorry.
This will happen. Hackman says, Edward Scissorhands. Hacken says, do as Wimbledon did with MK Dons, or support the smaller clubs. Welcome to Goodison. We Evertonians welcome all our brothers who love football. Spadman, I almost hope it happens now. Our club has sadly been a franchise for years now, but we see it now. This isn't Man United FC anymore, MUFC anymore. If it doesn't happen now, the Glazers will do something later on. Glory, glory, Man United. I'm out. Ricardo Santos, almost like a resignation of like waving the white flag there. Ricardo says on the players front as well, do the contracts even stand at this point? Contracts build around incentives and performance, Champions League. And league games, 100%. They signed up for something that isn't going to be there anymore as it stands. So what does that look like? Loads of lawsuits around that. Straight Shooter says, if Manchester United pull out, the ESL will be disbanded. We are the biggest powerhouse in the world. We should not even compare with Real Madrid and Barca. And Bill Ingram says, United well and truly destroying their image of being a family club. 100%. I tell you what, though, back to one of these there. You look at the influence of the 6 English clubs. You can't tell me that if the 6 English club goes, nah, you know what, for the good of the Premier League and the good of English football, which is our foundation, we're not doing this anymore. Yeah. Obviously, that clearly that they couldn't even have their league without us, our say so, because there's 6 of us. There's only 3 Spanish teams, 3, 2 Italian teams, and no French teams, and no German teams, no Dutch teams. If we said we ain't doing this, we actually hold the power. Especially, and I'm not trying to blow our own trumpet, because clearly our club does not act like a big club. Our club does not act like a family club. But in terms of weight, if we were if we were big enough to say we don't want any part of this because we're built off the Busby Babes and the DNA of this football club does not stand for this. If we were big enough to say that, I don't even think this league could be in jeopardy just with us not being in it. Because you look at the Glazers, what they're bringing to it, they're at the forefront of the damn thing. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, So, I mean, Bruno might have posted something on his Instagram story or something. But
check it out,
I mean, to be honest, when it comes to all of this, ultimately, and I saw something about people from Man United fans, like representatives earlier, that it's been heading towards this for a long time, hasn't it? This has been gradually coming. I mean, there was a reason why so many people were opposed to the Glazers taking over in 2000, whenever it was, because they knew this was coming. And basically football has been this sort of, I don't know, corpse for ages, and they've just been circling. The vultures have been circling, and now with the pandemic, they just realized, right, now's the time. To do it.
Just to bring you in on what's going on here. So Bruno Fernandes has endorsed Podence, who is obviously his teammate as well, because he's Portuguese, isn't he? But Podence is obviously at Wolves. And Podence has put up an Instagram post saying, the ball, the song, the dream. The Zidane's volley, Kaká's solo, Liverpool in Athens, Oli in Barcelona, Chris and Seedorf. There are some things we just really can't pay for it. And then what Bruno has done, he's reposted that with clapping hands emojis saying dreams can't be buy, as in they can't be bought. Obviously the translation from English, Portuguese, English. Bruno Fernandes is, it's not an official statement, but it's an official endorsement of his compatriot.
Get right now, isn't it?
It's as good as you're going to get right now. Here we are, our best player, our most influential player, along with Paul Pogba. I don't need to get into don't be pedantic, guys. You know what I'm saying? People are getting into the, no, he's not our best player, Flex.
Yeah. Talk about the pivot. Talk about the pivot.
Yeah, exactly. Forget all of that. What we're seeing here is one of our savior, Bruno Fernandes, is coming out and saying there are some things you can't buy. That's massive.
Yeah,
that's massive,
and it's huge. And I'm not saying.
And well done, Bruno, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely well done, Tim. And I'm not saying he's a complete representative of the entire dressing room, but he's certainly an influential figure. And if he's thinking that, that's got to be at least there are certainly other people in that dressing room that are feeling the same. And like you said, it's not a full statement. It's an endorsement. It's a sharing, but. I would speculate that that's got to be to come soon. And talk about someone as well. Talk about the morals and the history of the club. The guy's only been here 18 months.
Exactly. What does he owe to English football?
Exactly, and he already knows. He already knows that this is unacceptable, and you know he sees. Of course, he represents Portugal as well. They're not representative as of yet in this league. I think the Porto say they're going to turn it down. I don't know, but again, if he's not allowed to play for Portugal, you might be looking at that. I'll go home. I'll go home. Enough of this. I'll go back to Lisbon. Whatever. It's not worth it.
Big breaking news here. Harry Kane has now spoken, and Harry Kane has said, "Thank you for everything, boss. A pleasure to have worked together. I wish you all the best for your next chapter." Mugging off Jose Mourinho. I saw Harry Kane tweeted 8 minutes ago, and I looked at it, and he's just bigging up Jose Mourinho. Whatever, we don't care. Smokescreen. And you know what? On that though, actually, just real quickly, because I'm in an iron whether and then we've come out with Fabrizio basically saying that he was sacked for footballing reasons. It wasn't because he refused to take the team out.
Yeah, because
of the European Super League. But I actually, as much as I don't like Jose and always knew he would fail at Spurs, and I think he's finished at the top level manager, and he was on his way out of Spurs anyway. You could see how bad it was. But I actually look at the type of Jose. I don't think Jose would stand for that. He won the Champions League with a Porto side that had no business winning it. Business. No one expected to them winning it, knocking out Manchester United along the way. You know, he won with Inter Milan. Yes, they had decent players, but the way they played and what they had at their disposal was nowhere near that Barcelona team that he knocked out. Someone like Jose Mourinho, I actually would probably cut him a little bit of slack, even though I don't really want to. I don't think he would stand for something like this, though. I don't think that's not a Jose Mourinho thing. He loves being the underdog.
And it raises the question, doesn't it, about these other coaches? You know, talk about, say, Klopp in the past has been against the idea. Would he walk? I mean, Pep's on a variety of other subjects and topics. He's been pretty steadfast in his opinions before. Yeah, you're not afraid to. And it's not as if these managers are going to leave these big clubs. Oh, we won't be able to find work. You know, and again, it's things like that might need to happen. I don't know about Ollie. I don't know. That's a tough one. You would think someone that was an ex-player would at least again have the history and the integrity of the club and the principles of the club.
Let's face it, Owen. Ollie's got to sell out. He's got to sell out what he believes in, because Ollie is like us. Like, one thing, whether you're Ollie and Ollie out, forget all that shit for one day. Ollie is Man United through and through. Yeah, he loves the club. Yeah, whether you think he's a good manager or not, he loves the club. He understands what the club is built on, and he's almost trying to recreate that. Really, I know people can have loads of different discussions over whether that's the right way to go, and you're trying to just live off the old stuff and bring back the old guard. But essentially, he's trying to make his own version of what Sir Alex Ferguson did. Why? Yeah. Because he understands what it is our football club is built off. If Ollie has to sell his soul now against everything he believes in, because this would be Ollie scored in one of our arguably our greatest moment in the Champions League final, and they're basically saying, Ollie, mate, chuck your medals in the bin, mate. Chuck your memorabilia. You probably still got the shirt.
League you had, don't count.
Chuck it out.
Get rid of it in the bin, mate. You know, 100%. And he says it after interviews all the time. If we have a good performance, he'll go, "Oh, that's Man United. That's Man United." You can't say anymore. That's not Man United out on the pitch. That's not Man United in the boardroom.
No. You know, and how's Ollie going to feel? And how's Ollie going to look with that?
Exactly, and the argument can be made that, you know, the reason he's in charge, people call him a puppet for the Glazers, puppet for Ed Woodward, all that kind of stuff. But you could say that he's just so happy to be the manager of Man United because it's his dream. He's willing to put up with the shit from Woodward and the Glazers and all that kind of stuff. But when is enough for him? When is enough for him? And like you said, he is most well known for that goal. You don't even have to say what it is, the competition, the year. You just say that goal, and everyone knows what that is. And essentially, he moves to that Super League. It doesn't matter what goal. You might as well just erase it. It never happened anymore, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. It's just, again, when they spoke to him yesterday, he was very non-committal on it, wasn't he? I don't even know if he knew that much about it.
No, it was really weird. I only saw that today as well. I didn't even see that interview. Obviously, we're doing the fan forum stuff after the game. You're not really looking at that time. And then all the news broke. I didn't really see that until today. It was a bit odd, though. I find that's another thing about this, right? Are we really... When someone flipping has a meeting with someone at a hotel to go to a new club, everyone knows about it. Everyone knows about it. How the hell, unless again, they've paid them already just for the silence. You talk about NDAs and stuff. I would love to know the amounts of money to keep this undercover, because how the fuck has no journalist, no publication, little murmurs like Arsene Wenger, like he's always been in the know saying that it will happen one day, sort of thing. And we're like, oh, that'll never happen. I'm talking about imminent kind of, it happened halfway through the game where it's like, boom, the Super League thing's here. How the hell has that happened? Because to me,
and that's not an overnight
money.
system. That's not an overnight thing. This is, we talk about steps to planning. This is, I mean, this is months and months of strategic planning. I think it was the United Stand on Twitter, didn't they? They shared the quote of Ed Woodward, wasn't it? When October 2020, we gone, well, I don't know anything about. I've seen the reports, but I can categorically say I don't know where that's come from. Liar, liar. That is a lie. You know, you couldn't. Something this big, and we're talking about personalities as well. We're talking about all these big different clubs and trying to come to a compromise. That doesn't happen overnight. That is major. You know, over that takes time to do that. And for him to say back in October, well, I don't know what that was on about. You know, well, it's just lies. It's lies.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know. It really sickens me. You know, make sure you guys smash a like on the video, especially if you're against all of what's going on here at the moment. You know, we need to come together and we need to be vocal about this. We really do need to be vocal. Nero says, I'm sick of playing Burnley every season. I'd rather Manchester United versus Barcelona on a sunny day in Spain. Let's be honest, lads, we would all watch the Europa Super League, the Euro Super League, whatever. Honestly, Nora, in the way this has been done, like someone said before, I'm not against evolution in life and things changing. Like, you shouldn't be scared of change. I understand that, but this is just morally wrong. So no, I would rather go to Burnley. I would rather have a game like yesterday where it was difficult and we flipping struggled to win for large parts. Like, that's what competing is. That's what sport is. Like, it isn't.
And you have to think about Burnley. Burnley, if there were fans in the stadium, the Burnley fans, they get to go to Old Trafford. They get to have their moment. They get to play against the big teams. They earned that right by getting promotion. Yeah, they've beaten us. That's the first time we've done that. That's the first time we've beaten them since 2015. They've earned that right to play us. And who's to say that if the Premier League goes, oh, start off United, we don't want you anymore if you're going to do this, then you're not only just taking it away from the fans, you're taking it away from teams like Burnley and Norwich that get promoted. They don't get to go to Man United. They don't get to play against the big teams because we don't want competition anymore. It's going to be a big boys club. We get to play by ourselves. You know, that's I mean, I'm all for playing Barcelona. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for playing Barcelona in the Champions League.
I want to earn the right to play them.
Exactly. I want to have the competition. I don't want to have a God-given right to, we can play Barcelona. Why? Because we're Man United. We have to play Man. We have to play Barcelona.
Owen, whatever happened to the novelty of something happening? So the fact that you need to earn something. Look, if a team wins the league 3 years in a row, or when Real Madrid won the Champions League 3 years in a row with Zinedine Zidane, what an unbelievable achievement. Yeah. Like, why? Because one, yes, you can argue about how competitive La Liga is anyway, but anyway, they had to qualify. And then they had to go up against the teams that had deserved to be there as well. And they did it 3 times in a row. They earned the right to do that. It wasn't, well, we went out the group stages of this Europa Super League this year. Say you're Arsenal, and I keep picking on them because they're 10th. They're 10th.
Oh, they're loving it. Absolutely, yes, please.
You know, and I'm big up to the Arsenal fans as well, because I'm not having to go at the Arsenal fans, because I asked all us fans, from what I've seen, mostly 99.8% are all standing together. So I'm not digging out the fans. I'm digging out Kroenke. You know, I'm digging out the people who, you know, was it Fenway Sports Group who own who was it, Hicks and Gillette, whoever it is, I can't even remember who own Liverpool. But you look at those teams. When does the novelty wear off? You know, if we get the chance to play Real Madrid in a Champions League semi-final, we're going to be saying, flipping it. The last time we was in the Champions League semi-final was what, 2000 and whenever, 11 is it? I can't remember because we got to the final then, didn't we? You know, the last time we got that far was here. You know, because it's a novelty. You don't want the novelty to wear off. You have to earn it. It's really difficult to get to Champions League semi-finals. Not the journey. Next year, we're all... Yeah, exactly. No, not next year. Oh, we're going to be there anyway because we don't get relegated from this thing. So we'll play against Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. Well, not Bayern Munich, but you know what I mean? We'll play against Barcelona, all these teams next year.
You mentioned Bayern Munich. You talk about that achievement. They won everything. They won everything that they could win over the course of the last 12 months. And that is an achievement. And it's such a great achievement because they earned it. They had no right to. You know, the manager came in. Well, the manager took over halfway through the season. They've done those incredible. He's leaving now. But he's done all that incredible stuff again because he earned it because it was the drama of the competition to get through those tournaments, and there wasn't a God-given right for them. I mean, you could argue when it comes to Bayern Munich, I mean, them not to be in the Champions League would be unbelievable. But you get my point that it's just it's about that. It's about the journey. It's about Man United. We haven't been in a Champions League semi-final since 2011. If we get there, that's celebrated because of the journey it's taken for all of these years to get back there, because of the competition, because the competition has been too tough for Man United. We've been so badly run. To get back there, that'd be celebrated. And that journey just disappears overnight with this whole Super League nonsense.
Big up to AFTV in the chat as well. They're in the comments. They've come through. I don't know if it is Robbie who's running their social accounts, but I do know I've spoken to Robbie today actually on the phone, and he's the same as us. And I spoke to DT last night as well, same thing. And AFTV has said American owners destroying football. And one thing I do want to put is talk about is the solidarity amongst fans now. You know,
Yeah.
this isn't the time to. This isn't the time to, go against each other. This isn't the time to look to blame certain sections of fan bases and all this bullshit. This is the time for us to stand together. For what? I don't know. For what it's going to cause? I don't know. Because realistically, as you can see, they've made their minds up. They've made their minds up.
And they don't care what we think.
And they don't care what we think. But for the I want to say for the human race, like maybe for the football integrity, for what it is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like for the purity of football, for literally the heart and soul of football, we have to come together, because this isn't going to be just one fan base that that saves this. And again, using words like save and all that kind of, you do feel a bit melodramatic, but then you realise how this is. I mean, we're talking about the fundamental building blocks of football as we know it are changing. That's what it is right now. And it is going to be a case of fans coming together and all different fan platforms coming together. And I mentioned all of these governing bodies when it comes to FIFA and UEFA and the government. Everyone's got to come together and just say, no, enough's enough. You can want to do it, and you can be led by this sort of trail of money that you think is going to be found when it comes to this Super League. But enough's enough. Start your own Super League with new teams. If you want to do that.
Right.
Go and do it yourself, but don't bring Man United into this. Don't bring all of this kind of stuff into this.
100%. Sachin says, please see Bruno's story flex. I've done that already, unless he's posted something that I don't know about, which I'll check, but we have covered that. Also, FTV put this up, obviously a former Arsenal player, so it more relates to them. But as like we said, this is everyone's fight against what's going on to save football. So we'll talk about it. And this was about an hour ago. Mesut Ozil has his say on the European Super League. This is on AFTV's Instagram. Ozil said, kids grow up dreaming to win the World Cup and the Champions League, not any Super League. And this is what I was just talking about here. The enjoyment of big games is that they only happen once or twice a year, not every week. Really hard to understand for all football fans out there. And that's what we was just talking about, Mesut Ozil. Not that he's watching, but, the novelty is going to wear off. You can't be playing these big games every week. Well, then it's going to get boring.
I wish it was Christmas every day. Pretty sure after a week you get pretty bored of it being Christmas. After a while.
Yeah.
Thanks for the presents, but I'm tired of that now. It's the novelty. It's the chance of if we get into the Champions League. First of all, it's the chance of if you're a smaller club, if we get into the Champions League, we can play against these big teams that we never thought was possible. Or it's the chance of if you are a Man United or a more established club of if we get to a quarter-final, you never know if we get the right draw. We could get into a semi-final. We could get to a final. All of that's lost because it's guaranteed. Now, if you're dealing with certainties, then where's the drama? That's what sport is. Sport's drama.
100%. And you know what?
That's gone.
Roman here is an Arsenal fan. Big up, Roman. And Roman says, Arsenal been dying a slow death for years. Now we're in the ESL. You'd think I'd be happy, but we don't deserve it. Absolutely shameful and gutted. And I watched a bit of the AFTV stuff yesterday. I saw Turkish sort of saying, they're showing no intent. It's almost like in Arsenal's state, we've got our own demons. I'm not saying we're any better, but in their situation, it's like, they're finishing 10th and 8th, way off the Champions League. It's almost like they've given up trying to earn it, Really bad, really, really bad. I'm just going to finish off with these last super chats before we wrap up. Miala says, am I wrong in saying the only way fans can properly boycott the new football system is to ditch modern football and support your local grassroots club? Do you know what? Yeah, you're right. As much as the affiliation in our heart make us love our football clubs, that's probably the only thing is if all. But the problem is if all fans around the world did it. It can't just be here in England as we've learned. Latest member of the United Stand Members Club is Bernabas. Big up to yourself. And another super chat here from Chris Panker says, I'm 100% against the Super League nonsense. Would be like watching cricket of playing against the same team every week. It would be boring. And I think we are there or thereabouts, guys. There's going to be so much more reaction to this in the coming days, in the coming weeks, months. We're back on at 4 o'clock. Mark's going to be back on then. And he's got Fogden with him as well. We're going to be talking to that, and Thogdad. They're going to be talking about it. I mean, you know, Fogden's a Bolton fan, you know, and but it's great to talk about this because it affects all football. And we've got the fan forum tonight as well. We're gonna have the guys back on there: Ricky, Beth, KG, Alex, Jay, you know, the whole crew, Ricky, and that's going to be a long one. It's going to be about a 3-hour special, I think, or something like that. So look, there's loads to get into here. We're going to keep doing our bit. We're going to keep talking about this. We'll see how it pans out. I think it's going to be crazy. It's going to get horrible. And I think as we came onto the top of at the top, Owen, about this nuclear war, not even a civil war, nuclear war. I think that about sums it up to take us out, Owen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's only, and unfortunately, I think it's only the beginning. So we've got to keep going. We've got to keep going.
Absolutely. Guys, smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. It's going to be some rocky times ahead, but we've got to stick together and keep talking about this.